Good afternoon, everyone. It's 2:01. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask everyone to take their seats. We have a lot to go through this afternoon, and so I want to thank everyone for being here. We'll start the meeting in our normal fashion, even though we have not been here in quite some time, it feels like. We will start with introductions with our clerks. We'll go around the dais, and then we will hear from members of the executive team, and then go into our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon. I am Christine Smith, Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I am Marlissa Easton, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Rodriguez McDowell, and I have the honor of being elected by the people of District 6.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
Good afternoon. I'm George Dunlap, elected by the people of District 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Altman, County Commissioner serving at large, and I also have the privilege of serving as Vice Chair. Welcome.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. Good to see everyone. My name is Mark Jarrell. I've been elected by the people of District 4. I also have the honor of serving as Chair of the Board.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leak, and I represent the most powerful district in this county, and that's District 2. Welcome to those of you who have come to hear us talk. Pray for us.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Arthur Griffin. I have the pleasure of serving County Commissioner at large.
Good afternoon. I am Mecklenburg County Commissioner Elaine Powell, representing the North, Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, and North Charlotte.
Good afternoon. Welcome to everyone here. Encouraging to see so many people. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram, and I serve you at large.
Good afternoon, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Mike Bryan, Mecklenburg County Manager.
Good afternoon, Raynard Washington, Public Health Director and Interim DCM for HHS.
Good afternoon, Leslie Johnson, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Derek Ramos, Deputy County Manager and Chief of Staff.
Good. Any other executive team members? Nope. Well, we do have other staff, so thank you all for being here as well. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. At this time, what I'm going to do is turn it over to the manager to tee us up for today's discussion, and then we may also hear from our attorney.
Thank you, Chairman Jarrell, members of the board. This resolution placing the payback transportation referendum on the ballot is simply the starting point of a multiple-step process that will be taken by municipalities and the county to authorize transportation investments and stand up a new authority in the event that the resolution you are discussing passes. This resolution offers registered voters the opportunity to decide for themselves whether they want to support this historic investment of almost $20 billion for our community, as well as establish a new authority to guide these new investments. The county, city, and towns have also begun the process of establishing a MOU for your review that will guide the appointment of the authority members and establish the timeline for the stand-up of the authority. The goal for this process is, if the voters choose to pass the referendum, that our community is ready to take the next steps necessary to comply with the law and put into place the people that will serve on this authority. As a reminder, the details of the plan are: the payback represents a historic investment in the future of Mecklenburg County and the Charlotte region. It gives voters the opportunity to decide on a dedicated funding source for critical transportation infrastructure. If the referendum is approved by the voters, 40% will be spent on roads, 40% on transit, and 20% on buses. The 60% to be spent on transit and buses will be managed by a newly created 27-member authority. The county will have 12 appointments, with 6 coming from the towns. The city will have 12 appointments, with 3 coming from the business community. the governor, speaker, and president pro tem will all have one appointment. This is a bipartisan achievement that provides an opportunity to modernize mobility, reduce commute times, and improve access for the community. This plan reflects years of work by dedicated professionals informed by rigorous data. I'll end by reminding you that you will receive public comments at the August 6th public hearing on the referendum, in addition to voting on whether to direct Michael Dickerson, Director of the Board of Elections, to place the referendum on the ballot for the November 4th, 2025 election. At this time, Chair, I will yield to the County Attorney to see if he has anything to add.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I don't have anything to add, Mr. Chairman. He covered it all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Colleagues, a couple things I just want to put out there. Last week, I sent the board an email that contained the proposed resolution and some language, and I asked everyone to take a look at it, provide feedback, ask questions of the attorney. And the goal was, for transparency, the goal was not to bake the cake. The goal was to try to get things right. And so that's why everybody had time to provide their input. And that's what we asked. And to your credit, we did get feedback. And so I want to say thank you, everyone that reviewed the document, that provided that feedback, and I'll get to that in just a second. I do want to make sure that we are clear on today's meeting. Today is not advocacy or opposition day for the board. So we can only deal with what has been noticed. I'm going to ask board members, as you're speaking, to please speak into the microphone, speak clearly so that the clerks can record what's being said and so that everyone can hear. The next thing that I want to say is the items that are outlined in the whereas clauses, that was designed and is designed for August 6th for the public to be able to react to. And so that's where some of the language has come into play that we need to go over, and there have been specific recommendations for changes or adjustments to those clauses or even to add. And so we're going to review those. Each of you have a document that was based on the feedback received from board members that we felt, and when I say we, I want to be clear, I reviewed it with the attorney and I reviewed it with the manager to see what was in bounds. So primarily, it's about 90% of what's been asked to be a part of the whereas clauses are included. There are certain portions that will turn to the attorney to figure out why it's probably better not to, or where the pause may come in, including it in the recitals or the whereas clauses. So as we look at that, again, I want to make sure that everyone is clear on how we're going to proceed today. You have the language in front of you. If this is adopted, we will move forward. It will be published to the public, and we'll move forward from there. And August 6th, just so everybody is clear, August 6th is the time where each board member can personally advocate, oppose, or advocate for wherever you stand, but it's really primarily meant to help us hear from the public and where they stand. So with that being said, I know that was a lot. Before we proceed to go through the actual document, the resolution, what questions do we have, if any? Okay, so there were no questions. Based on, I'm sorry, there are two questions. Commissioner Powell.
I think before we start, since we've been hearing from the public already, it's important to start on why we have to have a resolution before we put it on the ballot. So if the manager or the attorney want to speak to that, I think that's important.
Under the statute, Commissioner Powell, in order to direct the director of the Board of Elections to put anything on the ballot, the board has to adopt a resolution directing the Board of Election director to do so. The recitals contained in this document really support what you're asking the Board of Election director to do.
And, you know, like when Chairman Jarrell was talking about, there are some things that are not included. When you're forming a resolution, talk to us about what you can't include.
Well, it really depends upon the resolution. You want to look particularly at the statutory guidance. You use the statute as a baseline, and you would include in the recitals the things which support the resolve that you're asking the body to do. So what you see contained in this document, really, they're guided by what the statute and the legislation says.
So this document, what I'm hearing is for the Board of Elections, so that we can put it on the ballot. It's not really for the public.
Well, it's for the public in that the public will see the recitals, but the purpose for the resolution is that you're taking action to direct the Board of Election director to do something. The basis upon what you're directing them to do is based upon the recitals.
The reason I bring it up is the language of it. You know, like it's not something like you could just, it's not something that's smooth, comfortable reading for, you know, the average person.
Well, it's for the board. It's for the elected body.
Right.
But the public certainly would know based upon what is published by the clerk.
But this isn't going to be on the ballot.
What will be on the ballot is the one statement. It's the
Correct.
only thing that will be on the ballot.
And so I just wanted to review that in advance because I think that there's some narrative going around. And so I think that will be helpful.
I think that's a fair point. And before I recognize Commissioner Townsend Ingram and Commissioner Meyer, I want to recognize we do have elected colleagues in the room with us, joining us today. I see Councilwoman Brown, Tijuana Brown, thank you for joining us. And then we have Councilman Graham joining us as well. And I want to say thank you all for being here. Let me recognize Commissioner Townsend Ingram, then I'm going to go to Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I thank my colleague here, Commissioner Powell, for her question. And piggybacking off of that, I wanted to an explanation or a definition, a distinction between the language of our resolution versus the language of the referendum itself, and who owns each one. Is that possible?
I'm not sure I'm following the question. The referendum question is dictated by the legislation. This is what it shall state. That comes from the General Assembly. The document that you're looking at relative to the resolution, that's the board's.
Right. And I just wanted to have that distinction made, that we don't have control, or do we have any input into the language other than what is here in the proclamation?
You have input on the recitals. These are constructed basically based upon the legislation and the statute.
Right.
Based upon some of the recommendations that come from the board members, we've included some additional language, but you need to be careful what you put in a resolution
Right.
as a stated fact. But as it relates to what goes on the ballot, that is governed solely by what the General Assembly has said.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Commissioner Meyer.
Actually, that was what I was trying to get to, too. I just want everyone to understand that we cannot adjust, change, or anything, the for or against, and what's going to be on the ballot. Correct. We have, even if we kicked and screamed, we can't do it.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. I appreciate all the inclusions that I had asked to be included. One thing that I do not see is the mention of the 30 years duration for the 40-40-20 terms.
Can't hear you.
There doesn't seem to be any reference that I can see, but I just got handed this right before I sat down, so maybe I'm missing it. But I don't see any reference to the 30-year duration on the 40-40-20 breakdown of the tax. And so I'm trying to understand, I think that's that wording is in the bill, if I'm not mistaken.
Commissioner, I can just say that was a miss on my part. So if we didn't see it, that's why we're going to have the meeting. So what I really would appreciate for all of us, right? There's absolutely no nefarious attempt. And so as we were trying to, or as let me say I in this particular case, as I was attempting to include everything that people were saying we felt like was in bounds, I threw a lot at the attorney. And we want to have this meeting for full transparency so that we can tee up those things. So there was no reason other than that was a miss on my part. I thought we had everything included except your last bullet point. So my apologies on that. And so if that is something, Mr. Attorney, we have to vote on and make sure that we add it, certainly that is in bounds to add, because I thought that was something we did discuss in our meeting to add that. So, you know, for full transparency's sake, there was no other reason than it was just a miss.
There's no nefarious intent, thought of, or like, but I didn't intend to imply that there was any nefarious intent there. I just, wanted to know if that was for some reason out of bounds, because I don't have the bill language in front of me, but I thought that was included in it. So, I could be stand corrected
During
there.
our conversation, Mr. Attorney, will you address that?
Well, I'll have to review that because I don't know specifically where it is referred to, but I'd look at it, and if it's appropriate, certainly we can include it.
Does that address it?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so if we can just add a little button on that as we vote, that may be something that has to be added to if it's within the language of the bill, as you stated. Any other questions? All right, go ahead.
Are we, can you just maybe lay out the sort of the flow of what you're intending? Because like you're asking for questions now, but I wasn't sure if you were going stanza by stanza or like how.
So we're actually going to, I wanted everybody to be able, I wanted to set the table so everybody could understand exactly what we were going to do, but here's the way that it'll lay out. You have the original resolution in front of you. You have the mock-up and the suggested changes minus a couple of areas. So as we go through this, we're going to make sure that we're clear on the suggestions that were made by our colleagues, so you can clearly see where it's been added in this mocked-up resolution. There are a couple of items that have not been included, so we'll have the attorney address those. Once we figure out an answer from the attorney on why those were not included or why they were recommended not to be included, if somebody wants to include those, you can make a motion. We'll vote it up or vote it down. We'll get those things off the table, and then we'll vote the full document of what's remaining with caveat to the 30-year piece and move on from there.
Okay. When is the appropriate time? There's one point that I didn't include in my email last night that I would like to add for consideration. When would be the appropriate time to do that?
I'll recognize that in just a few minutes. Let me hear from Commissioner Leek. Let us go through. Commissioner Dunlap, you had something as well?
Go to Commissioner.
Let me go to Commissioner Leek, then Commissioner Dunlap, and then we'll come back to the actual document and the additions that are there. We'll go through what was not added, and at that time, we'll go to you as well. Commissioner Leek.
Thank you. My concern is not to rehash the bill. We've been given this information to either approve or not approve. And with that, we're saying we want to change the language of the bill. Am I hearing that?
Not of the bill, of the resolution, Commissioner.
Of the resolution.
Yes.
Once we approve this, this is what will appear on the ballot for our people to either discern yes or discern no. Am I right?
No, you are, and there, let me just make sure that we're clear. The whereas clauses are here to give the public the opportunity to react to the bill, right, and to the vote. That's what the whereas clauses are. What will be on the ballot is the back of the document, the for and against. That's what will be on the ballot. The whereas clauses provides the information, a general framework for the public to react to at our August 6th meeting so that they know what they're advocating for or what they're advocating against. So there's two separate components as we are working through the document.
And we're strictly dealing with transportation as it relates to this bill. Am I right?
Yes,
Only transportation.
that is it.
I want to make sure that the public is hearing me clearly. Only transportation, and nothing else is included in this process.
Correct.
So when we vote, we're voting to accept the transportation process, but nothing else. Am I right, sir?
Correct, Commissioner.
That's where I have a problem. Thank you for
Thank
allowing
you.
me to speak.
Thank
And
you.
represent District 2, that elected me to represent them.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Mr. Chair, I'm getting concerned about the fact that we're drifting away from what our purpose is today. My understanding is that we simply need to decide whether the public will have a say on the resolution relative to transportation in our community. I think there's a lot of side conversation about a lot of things that people want to add one place or the other that really have nothing to do with whether or not people have a say. You've made it clear that on the ballot itself, it will say for or against 1% local sales and use tax in addition to the current local sales and use tax and all the other language that follows that. All this other stuff is about whether or not you advocate for or against. Whether you use a resolution to do that or not, I don't know that it really matters because people are going to advocate one way or the other and they're going to use whatever information they have. So I think we ought to just stick to what we've been asked to do, and that is simply to decide whether or not this issue goes on the ballot or not.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin.
Yeah, I was going to, first of all, thank you for listening to all the commissioners and putting stuff into the document that we see this afternoon. So I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for doing that. The second piece is, as the attorney has said, these are the county's recitals in the resolution. This statute is the governing body, period. End of stop. And the only thing that's in the recitals that reflects the actual law is the wording that goes on the ballot if in fact the board decides to approve that on August the 6th. These other items are other items of concern that individual have, whether you're a citizen or whether you're a county commissioner. I have concerns, but the actual process for us today is a step towards August the 6th, which is a vote to say yay or nay to put that one question before the public in November. So I'm sort of confused, but I'm ready to rock and roll with you. But the statute controls, and we either vote to put this question before the citizens on August the 6th, or we don't, because that's being consistent with the statute. That's right. And then the process continues. So I wanted to say that because I was kind of getting, there are a lot of different issues to campaign on. And certainly I even have some, but the work for us today is to go through this process that you've outlined, discuss your edits that are here, and then subsequently move for August the 6th to take an action one way or the other. So thank you for your patience with all of us, and I see the things that are reflected in here that people have suggested to be included in the recitals.
Attorney.
Thank you, Mr.
So, thank you. So, give me
Chairman.
1 second. Let's hear from the attorney, please.
If I might clarify in light of what Commissioner Griffin, Commissioner Dunlap said. Because you have a public hearing scheduled for the 6th before you take the vote to direct the Board of Directors to put it on the ballot, we felt it appropriate for the public to know what the recitals were and what the whole document was about. So you have this meeting today in advance of the public hearing to comply with the statute so that on the 6th, the public will know what it is the board will be voting to put on the ballot. So when the public signs up to speak with the clerk, they'll know what the issue is, the transit tax, also the upstanding of this new entity, this authority. So the recitals capture that. And then the vote will be taken subsequent to the public's comments, pro or con.
Exactly. Exactly. So with that being said, I mean, the recitals, it's definitely in bounds for the recitals to be tweaked. It's definitely in bounds. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how long are we going to take to do that? I have taken everybody's feedback. We have taken every single person's feedback and incorporated it in the document that you see here, minus 2 items that we will address right now. First one, on Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell's email that was sent, bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4. Bullet point 4, Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, it says, it doesn't even use the words sales tax increase on the ballot. I think we made it clear, thank you to Commissioner Townsend Ingram's clarifying question, that that is not something that is within our purview. That comes from the General Assembly. So that was one item that is not added, okay? The next one out of your document, and I know you want to add another one, but I'm just going through your document. The next item was your last bullet point, and it said, does not mention the projected total cost of voters on an annual basis. To make an informed decision, voters need to know the impact to their discretionary income. According to usafacts.org, the median household income in Mecklenburg County was $83,800 in 2023. Using the 35% of income subject to local sales tax as CATS uses, the increase is $293 per year. CATS literature appears to use the median income of the entire Southeast U.S. That is misleading. So that was not added into the recitals. That, in the chair's opinion, in calling balls and strikes on that, was an advocacy position, which the resolution should not be an advocacy position, pro or con. That is something as individual commissioners can decide how you want to go into the public to reflect your personal position. The Board of County Commissioners will not take a position on whether we support or we oppose the sales tax. Individual commissioners can take a position. Our goal on August 6th will be to either allow the measure to go on the ballot for the voters to decide. So I wanted that to be clear. If you decide to make a motion, we can vote it up or vote it down. Commissioner Griffin, your language on jurisdiction has been added to the document. The other bullet points you raised, Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, have been added to the resolution recitals. And there is one more item that you wanted us to add. No one asked to remove any whereas clause. They only asked for additions. You know the ones that have not been added, and you want to add another one. So the floor is yours on the other one for us to consider. And then we're going to vote the document up and down with clarification on all the revisions that are outlined. So
All right.
Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one thing that I thought would be a good addition is to spell out that a 1% additional, like from going from 7.25% to 8.25%, is actually a 14% increase. It is not a 1% increase. It is a 14% increase. And I think that that's a little misleading in the language. So I think it would be helpful if that were included.
Okay, are you making a motion?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second to that? Restate your motion, please.
So the motion is that there should be a whereas or somehow added in the language that this constitutes a 14% increase.
Okay. Is there a,
So-
before we get comments, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second
if,
it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Now, discussion. Let me go to Commissioner Dunlap. I'll go to Commissioner Powell after Commissioner Dunlap.
Mr. Chair, I hear all this talk about transparency. So in full transparency, the addition is added to what's already there. I think what you're talking about is the total tax. The resolution doesn't speak to the total tax. The resolution speaks to the additional tax. There is a distinct difference between the two.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
I really would like to get the attorney's perspective.
In my legal opinion, I don't think it's appropriate to include that as part of the recital.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Could you expand on that?
You might want to put it in a memorandum of understanding, but the recital really needs to be fact-based to support the item going on the ballot.
But I mean, math is facts, right? I don't understand what's not fact about it. It's math.
I would not recommend it.
So the
included.
attorney's given his opinion, so
Okay.
he's given his opinion. We can vote it up or vote it down. Let's go, Commissioner Meyer.
I was just going to ask him to explain it.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, finish your line of thought.
No, I just, I wanted to understand why it wouldn't be considered factual. It's actually a fact, like it's a mathematical fact. You know, the percent of change is 14%. It's a change of 14%.
Okay. All right, so we get it. Commissioner Leek.
Does this change the actual voting of the bill?
No, it does not.
Answer me yes or no.
It does not.
It does not.
It does not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leek, the reason why I'm looking for more language on our resolution is because this is our chance to let voters know what they are voting on, even though it's not going to appear on the ballot. People aren't going to read this whole statute from the General Assembly. You know, that's kind of cumbersome. So they will be looking at our resolution. If they are ever looking at something, it will be our resolution. So in my view, our resolution needs to have as much information as possible that we are aware of in the bill so that we can convey to our constituents and they can have the whole picture of what they're voting on, not just talking points. You know, it kind of gives more of a fullness of what they're voting for, if that makes sense.
Let me go to Commissioner Leek, Commissioner Townsend Ingram, Commissioner Griffin, and then we're going to vote.
Then that says to the public what your decision would be based upon what it's going to cost us. Am I right?
Yes, it gives a fuller understanding.
It's not going to be written on the ballot.
True.
So when we have our discussion periods, hearings within the confines of the community, that's where you bring that up. Because it's not in the resolution. Am I right?
I'm arguing that it should be in the resolution
But it's not.
currently.
And if you put it in there, then that's what we vote on.
I'm making a motion that we do
But
that.
we can't change the resolution.
We can. We can't change the
With the
bill.
resolution, we can change.
So you're saying we can change the resolution?
The resolution part, we can change. We cannot change the language on the ballot, like you stated
Right.
previously. Right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram, Commissioner Griffin, then we're going to vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Understanding my colleague Rodriguez McDowell's questioning. I think, in my opinion, we have a misunderstanding of what transparency and accountability mean. Does not mean that, with regard to this resolution, whether you say it as a 1 cent increase or you say it's 14%, does not change the outcome of what the tax actually is. And we're dealing with an actual document here. And we have an attorney who has made the recommendation. So that's why, you know, even the language that I recommended was not included. I thought that it would give more clarification, but now, as it has been explained here today, I understand that it's neither here nor there. That is not the appropriate place to provide transparency and to the public. This is a legal document that is for the board, and it's a tool. So it's not going to impact how the referendum is written. So that's why, well, it will, but it will not, it won't change it to the degree that it will impact the decisions one way or the other, I don't think, not in this forum. So that's my comments on it.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin.
Yeah, I just wanted to support your original comments, that we can all debate this. I can probably put enough motions on the table to keep us here till tomorrow night to just talk about the pros and cons of this. I'd rather just prefer we move on. I was going to call the question, but the attorney's made a comment. You've made a comment. I'm just ready to move.
And we're ready to move. Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. Let's hear from Commissioner Altman. She hasn't said it weighed in.
Yeah, I think it's really important when we make public statements that we not misinform. The current tax is 7.25%, right? Yes, sir? And this would move it to 8.25%. Is that right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So you've heard the motion. It's been seconded. We've had discussion. All those in favor of the motion, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed, let's see by show of hands. The motion fails. Next. That was the additional item that you wanted to address, correct?
That's correct. One of the points that I raised was incorrectly put on this in the red lettering, so I could make that correction now if you would like.
Yeah, please take that direction. Which point was incorrect?
It's the one where it says, whereas 20% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the act specifically allocated, it says for rail projects, but that's really meant to be bus projects. The rail projects, you know, is under the 40%. Good catch.
You capturing that, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just, hold on, I want to go through them all. Commissioner Meyer.
Can I go to another question? Another,
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I want to close the loop on that. Go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
I have information that the 30-year language isn't referenced in the documents because the tax does not expire after 30 years.
It does not expire
not.
after 30 years, so that's why it's not referenced. Before I go to you, Commissioner Meyer, let me have Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Okay, thank you. A clarifying question, but the terms of the 1%, the increase will stay, of course. It's a permanent tax increase, which was also a thing I asked to be mentioned in here, that it's permanent. So I'm not referring to the idea that it would end at 30 years, but my understanding is that the 40-40-20 cannot be changed within 30 years. It's a 30-year thing for the 40-40-20. That's like set in the bill.
I think Larry Shaheen is here who can talk more about the specifics of that. At least he was here. Larry, if you can clarify that.
Larry, if you'll come to the podium. And then Commissioner Meyer, after we wrap this,
That's
we'll
fine.
come to
I
you,
understand.
okay? Larry, if you'll just make sure everybody knows who you are and what your role is, and make sure you please speak into the mic.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Larry Shaheen. I'm the attorney, transportation attorney with the Charlotte Alliance Foundation, who has been a part of the team working to draft and pass, and then now come before you to have the referendum on the language for the resolution. The 40-40-20 language does not expire in 30 years. The 40-40-20 language is meant to provide for additional funding for buses through its life of the tax, so that there is not going to be any type of shortage for the funding of that project, as well as additional transit projects. The $19.5 billion projected cost for 30 years is the 30-year projection, but the way that this has been drafted and the way that it was designed to be created was to provide ongoing opportunities for investment, so that when this community decides in the authority and in conjunction with these boards to decide to make additional investments, there will be an additional funding source for that, and for the community at that time to decide where those resources will be deployed. So the goal was to make sure that this was an ongoing and ever-living organization, so that the community would have what it needed to be able to provide equitable and ample transit services to the public.
So there's no, what's the 30, there's no 30?
The 30 year is a projection only. It's meant to provide, it will provide $19.5 billion over 30 years, but that's just a projection used for educational purposes. It is not a requirement or any type of limitation written into the bill.
Okay, so really, then, it's worse than I thought, because this is permanent 40-40-20.
Yes,
Forever and
ma'am.
ever, amen, permanent. Okay, so whether it's needed or not, 20% for bus, whether it's needed, like, that's even worse. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay. You good to go? Commissioner Meyer.
The very first red line, to be allocated to road projects within the towns and cities across the county, does that include orphan roads? And should we be specific?
It's consistent with the language in the statute, in the legislation. We can't drill it down to orphan roads.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Altman.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if it is appropriate at this time, because the public has been noticed with this document, it's been published in Legistar, and we did not have any changes for the first 4 paragraphs. To expedite our process here, I would like to move the adoption of this document up through the 4th whereas paragraph, and then we'll drill down after that.
It's been moved. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on readiness? Hearing none. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed, let's see by show of hands. That's 8-1, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Now, I will move to paragraph 5 and read it as amended for the public. Whereas pursuant to Section 4.8 of the Act, roadway distribution and use, Mecklenburg County must distribute 40% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the Act among the eligible municipalities as provided in the Act to be allocated to road projects within the towns and cities across the county, and. I move that to be adopted at this time.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any unreadiness on that whereas clause? Hearing none. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed, let's see by show of hands. That is unanimous, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to the 6th whereas clause. Whereas 40% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the Act allocated for transit, open paren, excluding rail, close paren, to expand non-rail transit, and. I move this for adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any unreadiness?
Excluding rail? Whoa, whoa,
There
whoa.
is an
This
unreadiness.
I'm sorry.
There is an unreadiness.
That's right. That should be excluding, was it bus? Is that the,
Excluding bus,
Mr. Attorney, I want to make sure I've done it right.
excluding bus,
Okay, so I'm going to reread that. Whereas,
Yeah, no, this is not right. Let's see, that was road.
Mr. Attorney, can
Hold on,
can you
everybody,
confirm?
1 second. Commissioner
I saw-
Altman has the floor.
And Mr. Attorney, can you advise?
I was reaching out to Larry in the back because they were saying that was not, I lifted it from what was presented to me, but that could be an incorrect exclusion. So I would defer to Larry as to whether or not that statement is correct or not, the 40%.
Does it work if we take out the paren excluding bus and have the sentence read otherwise as written?
It's not bus, it says rail.
Let's hear from Larry, and then we will take up the language.
So the specific language on there should state it would be 40% of the proceeds to be distributed to rail projects, not non-rail. If you exclude the parentheses and say rail, that is an accurate statement.
Okay,
And then
got
you
it.
would need to edit the following whereas clause to remove rail and add bus.
All right, so let me read this and make sure it's correct.
Transit. Yes, ma'am.
Tell
So
me,
on
tell
the-
me if
on
this
the-
is right.
On the yeah.
All right, we're on the 6 whereas clause for the public.
Yeah. it should-
Whereas 40% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the act allocated for transit to expand,
You can say transit there.
to expand transit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That does-
so moved.
Thank
Wait,
you.
wait, 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 wait.
Just wait, it's
Oh,
been
no,
moved,
just-
it's
just
been,
do it a
it's
second.
been moved and seconded. We're gonna have discussion. So that's, Commissioner Meyer, you're first, then Commissioner Dunlap.
Okay, and maybe I heard it wrong. Whereas 40% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the act allocated for transit to expand transit. I mean, there was some repetition with the word transit. So I'm just trying
To clarify it.
to clarify.
All right.
Madam Clerk, did you capture that?
It said for transit to expand transit.
For transit to expand transit is the way the
And
language
to
was.
expand transit? Okay. If I'm getting to
Okay.
grammar, that's fine.
Commissioner Dunlap.
I'm good.
Good.
We need to get the language right. We need to get the language right. So,
Excuse me.
hold on one second, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
Could you tell me who seconded that? There was a lot of discussion.
I did.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dunlap, you have the floor.
I'm good.
You're good.
And Mr. Shaheen, may I ask you one more question? Because in my walking around knowledge, transit would encompass bus and rail. And so if you were to add bus and rail together, that's 60%.
Yes, ma'am. So the bill does not specify that the 40% for rail has to be spent on rail. It merely has to be spent on transit. The actual language within the bill gives some flexibility to the authority to provide other means of transit opportunities that are not necessarily rail. But if this body wants to put rail into that to signify its desire to have rail in, that is up to this body. So
Okay.
ultimately, that whereas clause signals your desire and your intent.
And am I correct that in the verbiage of the General Assembly and the statute, transit means bus or rail?
Yes, ma'am. And again, I will remind this body that there was significant consternation among the community about the differences between the Senate bill and the House bill. The Senate bill had the specific carve-out of 20% for buses. The House bill did not. There was significant work on behalf of the community that I believe Mr. Dawkins, who is here with us today, Mr. Dawkins raised significant concerns about buses and making sure that there were enough funding in that for buses. So the carve-out of the 60% is a 20% carve-out for bus only. So that 20% must be spent on bus service. So that remaining 40% needs to be spent on transit projects. But again, it's up to the choice of this group to whether you use the word rail in that whereas or use transit in that whereas. It is not a legally determining clause, ma'am.
Yeah, and I will also say it was very important to the MTC that we preserve the budget for bus.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, 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 yes.
Hold that door. Commissioner Powell.
So, Attorney Sheen, in the transit bucket would be rail, if we leave it as transit, would be things like rail, greenways, sidewalks, bike lanes?
No, ma'am. I'll actually refer to the section. I believe that the attorney has the bill. May I actually grab the bill there very quickly? If you look at section, I'll call it specifically. So the section 4.9 of the actual bill states that 60% of the net proceeds under this part of the authority only for costs associated with financing, acquiring, constructing, operating, and maintaining any combination of real and proper personal property for a public transportation system, specifically including microtransit services. There's no definition there. Now, the carve-out for that was in subsection 1. No more than 2/3 of these funds may be used for capital and operating costs of rail projects over any period of 30 calendar years combined. Compliance with this section is, there's some language on there on compliance, but from an operating standpoint, that means that of the 60% that was used for the actual operations of that system, no more than 2/3 of the funds, which is 40%, may be used for rail. The remainder must be used for the bus service.
Thank you.
So just, I guess one thing that I would say to my colleagues, the thing that I remember, and I need somebody to help me with this, we've always said 40%, what's always been said has been 40% roads, 40% rail, and then, or 20% bus. So when you say transit, that means you can pull out those rail projects, and which is important, which appears to be important to a lot of people in the community with respect to rail. So where am I missing what was said previously if the language reads transit? I'm just trying to get people to help me. If the community has been, if the community has said rail is important, and we knew a specific amount was allocated for rail, I guess if you expand that definition, we would put in jeopardy the ability to be able to maximize rail. So I just want to make sure that we're not on a slippery slope to where something else comes in and the community doesn't get rail. So maybe I'm missing it. I'm not sure, because the wordsmithing here is kind of muddied the water. So Commissioner Dunlap.
I think it would be easier if we go back to what I thought was the original language and make it simple, which simply said that 40% would go for rails, 20% would go for buses, and 40% would go for roads. In that, it would allow for you to have the opportunity to do micro transit and other modes of transportation. And so I think that would make it simpler, because it appears to be getting muddied up the way it's.
With the three different whereas clauses.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying, Commissioner?
Yes.
Yeah.
So right now, but we do have a motion on the floor. We had a second. So
Respectfully, I need to, Mr. Shaheen, I think the problem of using transit, we have to just speak about bus, roads, and rail.
Yes, ma'am.
It's confusing the matter terribly, and we need a hue to the legislation.
Yes, ma'am.
So I appreciate the effort for us to accommodate requests that people made, but I think that it would be better to do what Mr. Dunlap just said. And I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if it makes sense to take a 5-minute adjournment to just clean this up or have them there.
What does the lawyer say?
Like, we just need to follow the law. We need to be super clear, we're following the law.
Yes,
We're not doing anything different today.
Yes, ma'am.
And I feel like the use of transit muddies the water.
If that is absolutely up to you, ma'am, and totally fine with us,
Well-
totally fine with me.
all right, so let's do this. Let's take a 5-minute recess to make sure that the language is right, to make sure that we're following the law. We will reconvene at 3 p.m. And we'll confer with the attorney. You sure? Amended. But it requires, but that requires a second. That requires a second, though. Yes. All right, everybody. I think we realize it is important to get the language right. So I appreciate everybody making sure that we made it through that recess so that we could get this language right. Before I turn it back over to Vice Chair Altman, I do want to say one thing, is that as we go through this process, it is not important for any individual to be right, right? It's important for us to get it right as a board. And so if it takes another recess to make sure that we're doing it right, we're going to do that. We're going to take our time, get through it, and not rush it, and make sure that we are being transparent. We are hearing from community, and not that everybody's going to be satisfied, but we're going to make sure that we do our jobs and we do it right. So I thank you for your patience. And so with that being said, I'm going to turn back to Vice Chair Altman.
So I would like to amend my motion, which I do believe requires a
It
second.
does require a second.
And I'm going to amend my motion as regards the sixth whereas clause. And I'm going to ask if the attorney can please state for me the correct phrasing of that whereas clause.
Whereas 40% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the act allocated for transit, including rail.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there unreadiness?
I just want to ask a question.
Commissioner Powell.
So I did like Commissioner, sorry, I did like Commissioner Dunlap's suggestion, so we're not going to go with that, we're just going to,
Right now, there's just an amendment for that specific whereas clause. It's been moved and seconded for the whereas clause. He did not make a motion, he made a suggestion.
okay.
Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, did you have something?
I wondered if we could just repeat that, what we're
Sure.
voting on at this point.
Can you repeat the language, please, Mr. Attorney?
Whereas 40% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the act allocated for transit, including rail.
Right.
40%.
To include
by
rail,
Commissioner Lee.
is that
It
what you
was-
said?
To include rail.
Rail.
It was seconded by Commissioner Lee. Go ahead, Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It means we're not committed to rail, is what it's saying. It's opening up a little sort of magic, sort of, we're not sure. We're not sure.
It's transit,
So-
and transit includes rail.
But it could be other things. So it means we're not really committed to 40% rail. We are committed to 40% road, and we are committed to 20% bus, because it's saying that. But this one is saying transit,
Including rail.
including rail.
Including rail.
So
That's
it means we're
adding
not as invested in the rail portion, is what I'm trying to say. That's what the language is sounding like. We want a little waffle space to say it's transit, including rail.
That's right.
Is that what I'm hearing? We're looking for a little wiggle room there.
That's what you're saying.
Mr. Chair, I call the question.
All right, the question's been called. All those in favor of calling a question? Let's see by show of hands. All those opposed? All those opposed to calling the question?
I'm not opposed to calling the question.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the motion's on the table. The question's been called. All those in favor of the amended motion, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Want me to continue it?
Please
All right.
continue.
Now, with the seventh whereas clause, whereas 20% of the net proceeds of the tax levied under the act specifically allocated for rail.
Bus.
Projects, bus projects, semicolon and.
All right, I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed, let's see by show of hands. That's 8-1, Madam Clerk. Vice Chair Altman.
Eighth paragraph, whereas pursuant to Section 4.8A of the Act, each eligible municipality shall use the net proceeds distributed to it under Section 4.8 to supplement and not to supplant or replace existing local expenditures for roadway systems under its jurisdiction, and.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness, discussion?
Yeah.
Let me go with Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Dunlap.
We all have a concern about orphan roads, so I would like for Commissioner Griffin to explain, why he would had this included.
All right, give me 1 second before you do that.
Okay.
Let me go to Commissioner Dunlap. I want to maintain order. Commissioner
you.
Dunlap, then Commissioner Griffin answer the question for Commissioner
I'll
Powell.
yield to Commissioner Griffin because I'm going down the same road.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin.
No, on this jurisdiction, because when you talk about municipal roads right now, you talk about roads that are in the city of Charlotte. There's a considerable number of roads outside of the city limits of Charlotte, and they call orphan roads, is what this been entitled to currently. But they're just roads that the city of Charlotte has demanded developers create when they're building developments to city standards, but there is no relationship in terms of the city maintaining those roads. So because of how the county and the city has an interlocal agreement on planning, they do all the planning, the zoning and stuff for their extraterritorial jurisdiction. And I like to make sure unequivocally that we include under its jurisdiction, because it includes the orphan roads or roads in the ETJ, is why I wanted that piece there. I didn't want any questions about roads that are in the city proper or roads that are outside the city proper. But my street, for example, was under the jurisdiction of the city when they planned the development, but it is not a city road right now maintained by the city.
Right. Thank you for the clarification. Commissioner Dunlap, then Commissioner Lee.
Just want to make sure that it's clear where it says you can't supplant, you can supplement and not supplant. Now, my understanding of that is that if a town, i.e. Pineville, Matthews, or what have you, is spending X amount of dollars on roads, they cannot spend less than that because of the addition of these dollars. And that's important because if the town decides to spend less, well, anyway, I just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay. Commissioner Leek.
Yeah.
Hold
Are
on.
they being taxed today? Mr. Griffin, are you paying taxes
Yes.
on those roads?
I'm paying taxes that you levy as a county commissioner
Right, just on the property,
on the property.
but not on the roads.
The city of Charlotte, well, in fact, Commissioner Leek, I'm required as an owner to have to maintain those at some point, like about 100,000 other residents of Mecklenburg County.
And you knew that when you bought the property?
No, ma'am, I did not know that when I bought the property.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Clarity.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
I had my question answered, thank
Okay.
you.
So we can vote.
Shouldn't have bought the property.
All right. All those in favor of the motion, let's see by show of hands. That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Motion carries. Commissioner Altman.
All right, paragraph 9. Whereas there is currently in place a 1/2 cent pass-through transportation tax to CATS, and.
Is there a
So
second?
moved.
Second, that's currently in place. We're just saying that it doesn't drop off
Which
because
one
this
is, which
passed.
one are we talking
Next to the
about?
bottom.
Talking. This
8 or
one,
9?
9.
Number 9.
Right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any unreadiness? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Vice Chair Altman.
10th whereas, paragraph. Whereas all exemptions as provided in Section 4.3 of the Act shall apply, and so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell.
Can we explain that one? What's
Can't hear you.
4.3? What is the 4.3 section?
Exemption of food.
The statute spells out certain exemptions, Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell, and rather than spell them out individually, I simply referred back to the statute, and it lays out those like foods and things of that nature.
Okay, so in the original resolution, that is which?
It's not in the
Oh, it's
original
not in the
resolution.
It's in the
Just for
revised.
clarity's sake, it was one of the items that came from another board, another commissioner, which was Commissioner Townsend Ingram, that wanted the exclusions to be spelled out. And so as opposed to spelling them out, it's just a reference to the statute for the exclusions. So just like everyone else's items were added, hers is being considered to add.
Okay, but it just doesn't really say plainly, which is probably, I won't be supporting that because it doesn't, if it would spell it out, but to just section 4.3, I don't think
Well,
that
if you s-
provides information to the voter.
If you were to spell it out, you'd have to also include 105, 164.13B. You'd have way more convoluted language than referring back to the statute because the statute refers to that other provision, which is more all-encompassing.
Sure. I just think it's so problematic, the convoluted, as you said, that people need to see that and decide if they want to vote on that. So I prefer more transparency there.
So I think as we're taking these resolutions, I mean, we are trying to, I think there's an attempt to try to be transparent. And I think we are being transparent. It actually was a balance and I felt like a right balance not to appear to be advocating, right? So for those that are against or opposed, it would be easy for them to come back and say, oh, you're trying to add in and spell out those exclusions. And so I think we should just say, the attorney was making the determination to reference the statute. And the commissioner that submitted it was fine with it. And I appreciate your points that you're making. So if anybody wants to make an amendment to add that language, the chair will entertain an amendment to add that language.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it not just a list of items that we could include? Is it that long?
I've not looked at all of the provisions, but you have 105-164.13B, 105-467A, 5A, and my guess is there's a whole section of exclusions that are there, which you typically would not put in
Right, I
a
understand.
resolution. I mean, you can add whatever you want, but at some point in time, it becomes very tedious.
I call the question, Mr. Chair.
Question's been called. All those in favor? Let's see by show of hands. Okay. All those in favor of the motion, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed to the motion, let's see by show of hands. Mr. Link, you didn't vote. By default, you're a yes. All right, that's an 8-1, Madam Clerk. Vice Chair Altman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, whereas clauses have not been changed as originally published by the clerk. So at this time, I move adoption of the remainder of this document.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Is there any unreadiness?
Actually, let me just clarify. I called the 15th a whereas clause, but it's actually includes a now therefore clause. But, thank you.
Say that again, Mr. Attorney.
She said whereas, I said it's the resolve.
The
resolution.
Should we take the resolve separate, Mr. Attorney?
It probably would be wise to do
All
so,
right.
because that's
Then
the
yes,
actual ballot
yes, sir.
language.
I will move at this time the adoption of the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th whereas clause.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Discussion?
Call for the vote.
So that was including the for and against clause?
No, that's not included in the resolved. It's just the whereas clauses, and we're going to take the
resolve
now
separately.
therefore, the resolve separately.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed, let's see by show of hands. It's 8-1, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's okay.
Okay.
What y'all laughing about?
Somebody used a trigger word.
Right on cue.
Right
Right
Let's
on
move it, let's
cue.
move it.
We're not going to recognize Little Red Riding Hood, Commissioner Dunlap. Sorry.
I was at an event with a national politician in a quiet room, and my phone did that, but it was George Michael, which was much more embarrassing. So. All right. So at this time, I move the adoption of the now therefore clause, also called the resolve clause, as previously published to the public.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Discussion. Commissioner Meyer.
I know there's nothing we can do right now about this, but I'm uncomfortable with it because I don't think it's clear to the public that we are increasing their local sales tax. And I know there's the word in addition, but I don't think it's clear for people who don't really know what they're doing. They walk into the ballot box and it's an unclear statement, so I won't be voting for this.
Okay. Any other, this Commissioner Dunlap and then Commissioner Altman.
Just to help you out with that, Mecklenburg County can use its dollars to help inform,
Educate.
educate, same, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Altman.
Thank you. And just so it's clear for the public, listening public, since I didn't actually read it, it says, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Section 4.4B of the PAVE Act, the form of the question to be presented on the ballot concerning the levy of the tax shall be for or against 1% local sales and use taxes in addition to the current local sales and use taxes to be used only for roadway systems and public transportation systems. So that's what will be there, and that tracks the legislation that we are required to follow.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion, comments, questions, readiness? Hearing none. All those in favor, let's see by show of hands. All those opposed? That's going to be 7-2, Madam Clerk. I think that takes care of the document, and that would take care of the business for today. The one thing that I would just add, I want to thank everybody for their input. I'd also want to point out that the additions that were requested, the majority of those additions have been added to this resolution, with the exceptions that were noted earlier. And so I want to say thank you to our colleagues for a robust discussion, for moving towards a level of transparency and visibility to the public. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.